It's not where we're at, but it is where we go. Robert Downey Jr. You might not have heard his name, but you've most definitely seen his face while walking through a store, and you see his face on his shirt. He was born in Manhattan, New York, like I was born in New York, and he was born to a family of filmmakers and actors. His father was a director, and his mother was an actress. From a very young age, he had loved acting, whether it be helping his mother revise her lines or staying backstage with his father. His father saw the determination on Robert's face when he was around him and watching him act. He decided to give Robert a chance and decided to push him and make him act in the movie Pound. This gave him a little spotlight and sparked a little motivation on him and made him want to continue acting even though he was just 5. His father saw his talents and decided to move him and his whole family to California to continue Robert's acting career. At the age of 6, he had moved to California and he started going to Stage Door Manor Performing Arts School. This school was where he lived all of his life. He made all of his friends, all of his classwork, and all of his talent was grown off of that. Like I said, from a very young age, he had a huge interest on acting. And the school that he went to had helped him do that. With this, he continued to go to his school and continue to learn and do what he did. This not only made him motivated into continuing what he was, but it also helped him learn and get more talent. His father, like I said, was a director and helped him push himself to be an actor. His father had played and directed in many movies. He decided to move back into New York with his mother due to the fact that he was having family troubles in California. Not only did this destroy his mental health, it also made him go through a cycle of depression and anxiety. Him moving back to New York wasn't the best idea for him due to the fact that he had no supporting father figure in his life and he was only living with his mother. He continued to go to school in Santa Monica High School. As a teenager, being influenced on many things and his father not being around anymore had really made him struggle. Not only was his father a drug addict, he was also a full alcoholic. At the age of 6, Robert Downey Jr. had already took his first sip of alcohol, and by the age of 20, he was fully addicted. Like I said, being a teenager in New York City, there's a lot of influences that come along with it. Not only was his friends and his community around him persuading him and pushing him to take these drugs and alcohol, it made him feel like he was doing what everyone else was doing, like it was normal to do these things. When he was still in high school, drugs and alcohol had completely taken over his life and completely destroyed his mental, physical, and emotional health. He was no longer allowed to play in sports due to the fact that he was engaged in these illegal stuff, and he had to take a step back from his acting career. Still being a teenager, he had to drop out of school because he was no longer able to take it anymore. His mother and father were completely disappointed in him, and that made him even more shattered, feeling like he was disappointing not only himself, but his family and his loved ones. With that, he looked at himself and realized that he was doing exactly what he didn't want to do. He had no intentions of hurting himself or his loved ones like this. He started to take a step back from the alcohol that he was taking, whether it be taking fewer sips of alcohol each day or buying less and less drugs and alcohol per week. Not only did this make him take a step back from alcohol, it got him motivated into keeping his exercise and his mental health nice. He continued to take his acting career seriously, whether it be going to auditions with some of his friends or calling his father and asking him how it's been going with his directing career. His mother had once pushed him to go to an audition. That audition had sparked a little role for him. Not the biggest roles, and he wasn't really known for them. And throughout his life, his mother kept on pushing him to do so. Like I said, at the age of 20, he was fully addicted. But with the time he took off, it took him about 1 to 2 years to fully get away from the drugs and alcohol. He was still facing legal issues for the fact that he still had to go to jury duty and had to shapen up his presentation and how people perceived him. It was very complicated for him to get his jobs and get his acting career due to the fact that everyone looks at him like he is a criminal. For the things that he did in the past is going to represent him how he is now. It was really complicated for him because whenever someone looks at him, all they see is a drug addict and an alcoholic. Even though he was persuasive and determined to be an actor ever since day one, ever since he was a young kid. One day, he went to tag along to another audition with one of his friends. He had no intentions of wanting to be in a part for that movie. His friend had pushed him along and asked him to audition for that role. The producers saw him, and when they saw him act, they were pushed over the moon. They were so empowered by the way he acted and thought that he was the perfect person for that part. Not only did the producers and directors think that he was an amazing person, they also thought that he needed to be the actor for that part. With this, he was titled the character Iron Man, which we probably all know, and is probably one of the most well-known characters and heroes of all time. He was pushed into the Marvel industry, and with that, he had been making many movies for them. Not only did that help him grow his acting career, that also shined a light for other stuff, for his sponsorships and hosting and all events that he could do all around the world. With this, like I said, had grown his acting career a lot, making him audition for more and more parts, and people wanted him to just play in every movie that they wanted to see. He got another part in the movie Tropic Thunder, and this pushed his acting career all the way up. We can now see Robert Downey Jr. on any store and any movie shop that you can go to. He has inspired me and many young kids all around the world to start from where they are, and they could go much higher and pursue whatever they want. He shows us that even though we're at a low place, we could go higher and pursue and complete what we are meant for. He started from something that had been taking over his whole body. Drugs and alcohol is not something you just take and go through once. It takes over your whole body and your whole entire life. He is one of the most determined and brave person I know, due to the fact that he was able to push away from these influences. With this, Robert Downey Jr. has inspired me and many kids around the world.
Great job, Saka. Marvel and Inspire have one thing in common, and that is character development. Just like RDJ and Tony Stark, the speakers of Inspire Academy also gain new skills over time. Do you have any questions from our judge?
It's a really good speech. I really enjoyed it. What got him out of depression?
So once he started to back away from alcohol and stuff, he started to engage in his family more often, and he started to contact his father and his mother more often, leading him to see that his loved ones still cared about him, and he started gaining more friends, and he started being surrounded by the people that he loves, and that really pushed him to be happier again, and due to the fact he was auditioning for shows and he was getting more popular, really pushed him to be happier.